welcome back to my channel, Planty Princess 92. My name is Ashley. Today I found this Peperomia Ginny at Lowe's. Now, there was a couple of them. They were all in very poor condition, so I found the best, worst one that I thought I'd be able to kind of rescue, clean up, bring back to life, and see how it does from there on out. Now, originally this plant was $12.98. It was on clearance for $6. That includes this gorgeous terracotta pot. So really for $6, I don't think you can beat it, even if the plant doesn't survive. I have a nice pot that I probably would have paid $10 to $12 for anywhere else. So this is what the plant looks like to start off. A lot of browning leaves. You saw one just fell off there. But you know, when this is a cleaned up, healthy plant, it is a very gorgeous one. It has the nice pink edging there, like my new Planty Princess shirt that I handmade myself. Check it out, Live Green. I love it. Anyways, so this Peperomia has a little bit larger, kind of elliptical shaped leaves, not really oval, not really round. Towards the middle of the leaves, they have like that darker green. When you get to the edging, it has some white surrounded by different variations, like I said, of pink, which is very gorgeous. This plant, obviously, as you can see, is not so healthy. It has a bunch of brown and yucky, squishy leaves. I want to say, just by looking at this plant, that it was probably overwatered. Also, knowing it was at Lowe's, they do tend to overwater a lot of their plants. But it doesn't look like it got too much sun, so it doesn't look like they're sunburnt. It definitely does look overwatered to me. So I'm just going to clean this up, get her looking as healthy as possible, and then I'll kind of go over the care tips or the care guide that this plant generally likes and how I will care for this plant going forward. So we have the first leaf that kind of just fell off there in the beginning. You can see how really brown and just really yucky and mushy it looks. It's real soft. So that is definitely a sign of an overwatered leaf. Soaked up too much water. That's what kind of makes it go brown. It's almost like the pigmentation bursts in the leaf, which makes it get that like browning color. Just really quick, there are a couple signs though of browning leaves on a Peperomia, or really any plant for that matter. It could be too little light, too much light, which then sunburns the leaves, causing them to be the color brown. Overwatering, underwatering, they could go brown as well, but I think it would be more of like a lighter, crisper brown because they kind of like dry up. It's like more dry brown. But then there's also a couple of leaf infections that can also cause the leaves to brown as well. So I would definitely say, at the sign of browning, if you know for sure you're not overwatering, if you know for sure your plant is getting the correct amount of light, you definitely want to go ahead and do some research on some leaf infections to be sure that your plant does not and is not carrying any of those types of infections, especially because you don't want to go ahead and use shears on them and then transfer that infection to another plant, which is why it is super important to always sterilize your shears with alcohol before you cut from plant to plant to plant. Anyways, let's go ahead and get some of these dead leaves out of the way. There's tons of them, and figure out the way we need to care for this plant. There are a couple stems on here, and normally I would probably just cut those off, but like right here there's a stem. I'm just going to cut the leaves off because sometimes another leaf or another stem will grow from that stem. So I'm gonna give the stems the benefit of the doubt, hope that they're still a little healthy, and you never know, maybe I'll get some new growth from these things. Now, normally leaves like this, where the majority of it is healthy, but they have the tips browning, normally I would leave those on, but in this case, this whole plant is kind of really unhealthy. So I'm just gonna go ahead right from the jump and remove anything that is the slightest bit brown, damaged, or dying and get it right out of the way. That way this plant can fully focus on recovery and focus its energy on positive, healthy growth. All right, so I removed all the dead foliage. You see here we have a bunch of leaves that were just no good, dying, dead, brown, smushy, mushy. No good for this plant. There is a decent amount of foliage actually left in this plant, which I'm quite surprised about. You know, when you see all that together, it does look like a lot of leaves, and it looks like it's more the plant that's unhealthy than that is healthy. But actually I have a decent amount of foliage left, which I'm very pleased about because it still kind of looks cute. It doesn't look too bare, and the leaves that are left actually look very healthy. They're pretty stiff. They have some tension to the leaves. They're not just like flappy. And so if I were to rescue a plant that looked like this when I started, if the soil was wet, I would definitely repot. I tested the soil though, and the soil is completely dry. So it does not need to be removed from the soil. It does not need to be repotted. So that's why I'm just leaving it in the soil that it's in and cleaning her up. So like I said, she's now all done. Now I will kind of go over the care guide for this pretty little lady. The peperomias in general, pretty easy houseplants in my experience to care for. This one I read up on definitely prefers medium to brighter light. They are tolerant of lower light situations, but as with any plant that is low light tolerant, they do better and will thrive in a brighter, medium or brighter light situation. They do not like any direct sun exposure though on their leaves. That can cause, like I said in the beginning of the video, sunburning, which then turns to those browning leaves and is very unhealthful to the plant. That sunburn also can cause heat stress, which is another reason that leaves can brown on a plant. So bright to medium light is best. Peperomias do really love that moisture in the air. Again, although they don't need it to survive, they definitely would prefer it and appreciate it to thrive and grow at their fullest potential. So I will definitely keep this in a humidity setting that is 50, 60, 70% humidity. I definitely wouldn't let it go below 50% for my liking, for the plant's liking. Just to try, especially while she's recovering, I want to keep the humidity as high as possible. So while she's recovering, I will keep it in that higher range. And then once she kind of starts to recover, I'll keep her closer to 60, 50, 60% humidity, and I think she'll do just fine. Also, while watering this plant, you want to give it a good watering. Let it dry out before the next watering, and then go ahead and give a thorough watering again. This plant is a really easy one, another easy one to tell when she needs water because the leaves are so thick, so sturdy and firm. When you go to touch them, like right now, this one does not bend at all. If it were to need water, it would bend almost as if, these flimsy, damaged leaves would. They would bend really easily with really no tension to it at all. So that's how I tell when a lot of my plants with the thicker leaves need water. I just give them a little taco test, and if they fold the slightest bit and their leaves feel a little bit tender, I know they need somewhat of a drink, depending on how tender the leaf feels. So that is how I'm going to care for this plant. I hope that she does recover. I really have high hopes for her and pretty high expectations because from the looks of her now, I really think she's going to do just fine, and I'm excited to see how she flourishes in the future. Thank you guys for joining me in another video. I hope you enjoyed seeing this beautiful plant and coming along with me to rescue her. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're interested in the content I provide. And as always, every plant's a princess. Bye!